Hey, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought we would go through my collection and pull out the palettes that I think are going to be fabulous for fall and just hopefully inspire those warm, sometimes grungy tones to start making their way into your looks. Let's get started. All right, starting in no particular order, I thought I would just show off my larger palettes that I thought were very fall first. So the first one being the Beauty Bay. This is the Fiery 2.0 palette, and just look at that. Like, could a palette scream fall more? Just all of the earthy browns, just the vibrant, gorgeous different reds and oranges, and even those pops of yellow. And then I even love how like there's some pink and even this like one purpley shade here. I think this palette is just a lot of fun and super inspirational for the fall season, but really it's a palette I use any time of year. But if you don't have this one, this would be a great staple one for your collection. All right, next up I've got the Bperfect in collaboration with Stacey Marie, and this is the Carnival for the Antidote palette. I loved it when they released this one because it was so different compared to all the just very rainbow tones. Like, I love the previous Carnival palettes, but this one just was finally something just super different than what they had done before, and I just love it. I know some people, again, find the large ones overwhelming and probably think that there's a lot of shades in here that dupe themselves out, but I don't know. I think they did a really good job at just, coming up with just the right amount of each tone and just varying shades to give a lot of dimension and selection. I love it. I need to use this more. I haven't used it enough, but definitely will be pulling it out more now. I'm not one of those kind of girls that is like, oh, this palette's only for this season or anything. I use all my palettes all year round, but I will admit there's certain palettes that I'm more drawn to at certain times of the year. But that is definitely a great one. Out of all the Carnivals, I think that might be my favorite and really worth checking out. All right, next up, going to some smaller palettes. I've got 3 of my Melt Cosmetics ones that I just felt all 3 of these scream fall in their own way. So first off, there is the Rust palette, and I just love the super rusty and grungy tones to these. Definitely, more on the neutral base, but has a lot of just dimension and difference, variance in like the tones, and just, I love it. I think everything goes together really well. I think you can create just amazing, probably in my case, more grungy style fall looks, but I definitely think this is a beautiful staple palette to have in your collection for fall. All right, next up, I've got the original Gemini palette. This, I think this was like my first Melt Cosmetics palette ever even too. And there's no wonder why I fell in love with the brand. This color story is gorgeous. I love how you've got the mix of still the neutrals going into those greens, which in my opinion, you'll hear me say a lot, grungy. it's definitely an aesthetic that appeals to me quite a bit. But I just love the tones in this, and it's been a holy grail for a lot of people for a reason. All right, last but not least out of the trio, I've got the Gemini 2. Couldn't mention the original without mentioning this girl too, because dang, is she gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it just takes it up a whole nother notch because it just helps marry it with the greens and then going into like these blushy tones that just, even though you'd almost think like going more like pinks and that would be more like spring or whatever, I just feel like they have like a richness and almost like rusty grunginess to them that help really kind of draw them more towards the fall, and it just plays really well with the green tones. So such a beautiful palette. I love this one. All right, next up I've got 2 from Unearthly Cosmetics. Let's start off with the Poison Apple palette. As of right now, I don't think this is available on her website anymore, and I don't know if it's coming back, but look at those tones. Like, I think you can understand why I see fall with this. To me, it's just, you think of the leaves falling and apples, and I love it. So this is definitely a fave. If you already have it, pull it out, play with it. If you don't, I hope maybe one day you can get your hands on it, but definitely a fall staple. All right, moving on to the other one from Unearthly. It is the Witching Hour palette. Come on, fall, Halloween, they go hand in hand, obviously. So it's not only the leaves and just natural fall nature, but just also 'tis the season. So I see fall and hear fall and I think of color stories like this. I just love things that make me think of Halloween. This is like Halloween just thrown into a palette and in the most perfect way. This I do believe is still available on her website, so if you have not nabbed it, I would get your hands on this. I don't know why when I first saw this palette I hesitated about it. I just thought maybe it was, I don't know if I thought it was too like primary or something, even though it just makes sense because none of the primary color. Anyways, but there was just something about it that stopped me at first. And then I finally got it when I placed an order, and oh my God, I love it. It is even more beautiful in person, but definitely super fun all year round, but especially around Halloween. You just really can feel it in these shades and just, oh, the pops. It is amazing. So go check this one out. Okay, next up we have the Acebeaute Falling For You palette. This one is definitely a little bit more, I think, along what people expect with a fall color scheme. Not that any of the other ones have been like way out of the realm of expectancy, but I definitely think this one does capture fall very perfectly with the browns, the reds, oranges. I love that there's purple thrown in here. I really feel like adding tones like that really help capture the whole spectrum that is fall season. So this is a lovely curated little palette. I definitely think you can get a lot of beautiful looks out of this and a lot of inspiration. And if big palettes are too much for you, this will definitely be something a little bit more manageable maybe or whatever, but definitely worth checking out. All right, next up we have the Lois Cosmetics Meet Me in the Underworld palette. I just think this just captures such a grungy but romantic and just more like deep earthy sense of fall, and I just don't think they could have nailed it any better with this color story. I don't know if this one is actually still available. I probably should check that before, but definitely if you haven't tried Lois Cosmetics yet, I cannot recommend it enough. Just look at both the palette and then just the stunning artwork that they did with this. But I think there's just a lot of fun variety with this, with the greens and the pinks, like the blush tones, and then just the beautiful, like just golden thrown in there with the shimmers. I think there's just a lot that can be done with this and just a lot of beauty in this color story. So definitely fall and worth trying out. All right, last one up is the Nomad Cosmetics Haunted Europe palette. Look at the packaging. Oh my gosh, so cool. And just look at the inside. This is such a fun and creative color story. I love that you basically get two varying palettes within this. Just the way that they break it up, I very clearly see like two 9 pans that just each give their own kind of color story and theme to it. Bit more kind of spooky, graveyard kind of feel, and then just more typical fall, like you just think of like pumpkins and leaves falling. I just love it. And I think together they mesh really well as well. Like, you know, today I'm wearing this on my eyes and I've got some shades over here while incorporating a gold from the other side, and I think they go together beautifully. So you can definitely get a whole huge wide variety of looks from this palette, and I think it is definitely one that will cause a lot of inspiration and just having fun with your makeup. So if you haven't tried Nomad Cosmetics out at all, get on it. They are fabulous. This is the only palette I have from them, and I definitely need to get more stat. All right, so there you go. There are my top picks from my collection of what I think are fabulous fall palettes to help inspire you for this new season. Hopefully you either will pull out some of these if you already own them and start playing with them if you haven't been already, or it'll inspire you to go try a new palette, treat yourself for the season and get something new. So I hope you had a lot of fun, got to look at some pretty palettes and enjoyed this video. If you like more stuff like this, definitely give thumbs up. Also, I can't decide, do I like the gray background or just like the natural background of the room? Let me know what you think. I'm not sure yet, but definitely having this helps keep it from if I am not keeping my room clean, but it's definitely extra setup. If people kind of like the more natural look better, then it saves me having to do that. But anyways, I digress. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you aren't already, I would love it if you would subscribe, check out my other videos, like, comment, do all the things. Check me out on my other socials. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, all Mama Bear Glam. And hope you take care. Bye. Thank you.